Unit 9, Lesson 3, Finding and Evaluating Secondary Data. This lesson will look at how to search for secondary data, Overview. It is estimated that the average employee spends 9.5 hours per week searching the internet, with 3.5 hours being wasted from not finding what is required. To reduce this, it is important to guide staff where to collect information, how to collect it, and when to stop. This lesson will examine where to search for secondary data and how to evaluate the data once you find it. There is a huge amount of data on the internet, and it's important that you reduce the time taken to find the relevant information. Where to search for information. There are a number of different places you can find information, and the place where the learner needs to go to access information will largely depend on the information needs identified previously. For general information, a web search on a general website such as Google should allow you to find that information. Use the search strategies identified in Lesson 2 to make your search more accurate. For academic papers and journal articles and white papers, Google Scholar is a good place to find this information. It identifies academic research conducted in your specified area, and it will also search for patents. Educational resources. As part of this course that you're enrolled in, you will have access to the library website using the attached link, login.proxy.lib.ul.ie. You can also have access to open online courses. A lot of universities put their online material online, which is freely available without charge. MOOCs-list.com has whole courses, and www.OER, which is Open Educational Resources Commons.org, has individual course material which you can access. Number of business databases that provide business intelligence and advice for companies. Business Balls is a free online training resource for business managers. For others, there's a charge for the service, but you might be able to get a free trial or an overview of some of the reports which may help you solve the problem. Further information on other business sites on the text version of this learning material. Membership sites. Often associations such as the Marketing Association, Accountancy Association, Supply Chain, Manufacturing and Sales provide you with support and direct you to relevant information sources. On the text version of this learning material, there are links to membership sites. Government information. These sites contain information about the market of a particular industry and efforts that are being introduced to promote and sustain growth. In particular, the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, is a good place to find this information. Books. WorldCat is a website that allows you to search for access in other libraries throughout the world. worldcat.org. Google Books allows you to search content similar to a library catalogue. Depending on the agreement with the publisher, Google Books will let you read an entire book or selected pages. In some cases, people put books or chapters of books online. To access these, put your topic name and the book.pdf in the Google search engine. For example, Supply Chain Management book.pdf. Google Books is also paired up with WorldCat, so to go straight from Google Books you can click Find in Library and you will be presented with a list of libraries that have the book. You can also use this to find out if your own library has it. A really good strategy for using Google Books for research is to use it to search for books, create a list that might be relevant, or use the full text features to reach as much as you can. Then check out the ones that are most relevant so you can have them to flip through as you need. Company data. This may be information in company reports, operating procedures, training manuals, process maps, metric data, or databases and IT systems in company. As the data is internal, it should be easier to access, although you might have to ask a number of people in order to find this information. Evaluating the information. There's a lot of information on the web. However, it's a place where anybody is free to upload content, and some information might not always be correct. It's therefore necessary for the learner to evaluate the information to ensure that it is correct, so you can make the correct decisions to solve the problem. Generally, information is evaluated under the following criteria. Credibility of the source. Who created the information? Are they respected? Are they experts? Is it from a government site, university, or membership site, or is it based on someone's opinion? It's important that you consider this. Currency. When was the information written? What events were occurring during this time? And could they have impacted this information in any way? For websites, when was it visited and when was it created and updated? For example, if you're looking for information on common approaches to forecasting, was this information written 20 years ago when the economic climate was very different to nowadays? Relevance. How close to your question or problem is the content? Is it at the right level? So again, if you're looking for information on forecasting techniques and what you find is to do with weather forecasting or forecasting weather, this is not at all relevant to your problem and therefore isn't at the right level. Bias. Why was it written? Was it written to inform, sell, or persuade? So for example, if you're looking up forecasting IT systems and it's from a consultant which is offering a off-the-shelf forecasting system, was this information written to sell the product? And if so, it might be subject to bias. Language style. Is the way it's written reasonable or exaggerated? Completeness. How much of the research question or your problem has been answered? Is there statements such as further research and limitations? And do they need to be considered in the context of your research? Accuracy. Does the author look at for and against or counter arguments? Do they look at other sources of information? Is the background information accurate? And what evidence does the author have to support their argument, or is it their opinion? It's important that information is based on fact and not opinion. To evaluate the information, you might ask the below questions. What is the source of the article? Is it reputable? If it's from a blog, it might often be someone's own opinion. In what ways does the book or article contribute to our understanding of the problem? And in what way is it useful for practice? In some academic articles, it might be very theoretical and might be difficult to translate into practice. Therefore, you might comment on this. What are the strengths of the article and what are the limitations? What can you use and what needs to be adapted? Could the problem have been approached effectively from another perspective? What's your opinion? And what can you take in order to enable you to assist you to solve the problem? Has the author looked at best practice or the literature relevant to the problem? Does the author include taking different positions and arguments, even if they don't agree with it? Rather than looking at everything in a positive manner, do they critically look at what they're doing and the for and against? How significant was the study? If it's an academic article, how many companies were interviewed or subjects were interviewed? How many participants did they have? And when was the article written? Was there any major events occurring at the time that might influence the research study? For example, was there a difference in economic climate? Once you're happy you've collected enough secondary information to satisfy your information needs, you need to determine what information gaps you have. I.e., what information you're missing. If you're missing information, you can decide to either revise your information search and look for additional information or gather primary data to fill this gap. In the next lesson, we will look at gathering primary data and approaches to doing this.